Hello everyone. My name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. Okay, before we go any further, I think we better talk about the elephant in the room. And it's this orb above my head. Now, for any of you who've visited my channel before, you know that I share content about consciousness, spirituality, and the law of attraction. And in this video, I'm going to concentrate on our divine nature. So it might look as though I'm trying to say, oh, I'm this saintly guy by this orb up here, but the fact of the matter is I needed light to share this content, and that's what I came up with. So I decided to go with it. What I'm doing my best to share in this video is that there's a deeper, more fundamental, essential nature to all of us. So I'm basically saying that all 8 billion of us and counting, and everything in this realm is of divine nature. Now, you might wonder why am I trying to put this forward when we see this multiplicity of forms and diversity of forms that all appear to have their own consciousness. The reasoning is very simple, but I do mean it sincerely. When we live from the perspective of the person, that perspective is based in duality. And any of us who have lived long enough from the perspective of the person know that one day can be good and the next day can appear bad, or what we would label good and bad. In duality, we only know right by left, up by down. A mountain, there's a valley. So when we live from the perspective of the person in an environment that can tip between good and bad, we're lining ourselves up for suffering in consciousness. We love someone dearly and then they leave. So they were here, it seems, and then it appears that they've left. And that may be very trying or challenging for us to go through. We had our job one day and we lost it the next. This is the very real reason why I'm sharing this content. I'd like to spare others. There really are no others when it's based in singularity, but it definitely seems that way. Now, I'd like to give you an example of how it can truly be that this realm and everything that we see is based in oneness or unity. And the example I've used in my writing, in my blog articles, I've used it in other videos, and certainly they're not really teachers, but those of us who like sharing this message of unity use it. And it's because it's very effective. So if you're willing, I'd like you to contemplate what I'm offering here and imagine that you've fallen asleep at night and a dream appears, and in that dream a character, let's call him Bob or Mary, it doesn't really matter, but let's say Bob. And in that dream, Bob certainly seems to live by his own accord. He may be involved in an ocean voyage, or he might be trekking across a desert, or working in a cubicle in an office somewhere. But during that dream, in which Bob or Mary, for the sake of gender so that we're not biased, lives within that dream, the events that Bob or Mary encounter seem very, very real. The ocean that Bob or Mary is sailing over, the waves are wet. The seas can be rough or smooth. The cubicle that either of them work in can seem very real. The phones are ringing, they're answering them. But when the dream ends and we merge again with what I'm going to term the waking state, we look back at the contents of everything within that dream, either sailing over the ocean or working in that cubicle, we realize was all made out of one thing: consciousness, or mind, which is consciousness in motion. So everything, the office building or the seas, the sea, was all made of dream stuff, consciousness stuff. Now, what I'm saying about a deeper nature of consciousness is that when we rise in the morning or after that sleep, we erroneously believe that we get up as the person, so in my case, Art Russell, and go about my day, setting up lights with tremendous orb above like that, and looking saintly. I'm not claiming to be that, but I am acknowledging my divine nature, and I'd like to point that out for you, that all of you have a divine nature. And again, it's to ease suffering in consciousness. It's no wonder that we've been conditioned, or that we believe that we are independent persons acting autonomously. Everything in our childhood, from the time when we're first born to about the age of 7, our minds are basically in a hypnagogic state. We're just like sponges. As all of us know, especially parents, they know that quite often children mimic the parents' actions or speech. So they're taking in views of teachers, siblings, parents, television, media, any source of media, and basically parroting that. So we're forming a belief of a conceptual person. So what I'm sharing in this video is that when it appears that we rise as autonomous persons in the waking state, that it's actually that we've entered a different state of mind. And that universal consciousness, there's only one source of consciousness, only consciousness is conscious, is dreaming the situations of our parent life. Now, I know that can seem so bizarre because we have been conditioned to believe that the brain gives rise to consciousness. And what I'm saying is that that's not the case. Consciousness in this paradigm of reality is fundamental. It's the substratum of everything. You cannot have an experience without consciousness. Awareness, presence have to be there to have an experience. What I'm saying is, just as all of the events and the apparent persons in our nighttime dreams were made of consciousness, I'm saying that all of this is occurring within the dream of infinite living mind, or we call it, in spiritual terms, we call it God. In scientific terms, we call it the unified field. And all of us, every day, in whatever our particular language is, refer to ourselves as I am. I'm going to the store to get milk. I'm going to work. I'm going to ride my bicycle. I am. That's why in the Bible it's very clear. I am that I am. I'm awareness. Now, I'd like to back this up with, not back it up. I'm not trying to make a quote. Or make a case. I'm doing my best to offer some information that may be helpful. This makes a world of difference in whether we live from a fear-based perspective, which is definitely related to the human, the person, name, form, age, gender, race, nationality, a whole bunch of beliefs that are just kind of merged together. And we believed in them for so long that we believe that this conceptual self, it's an idea that we have of ourself, that it actually lives. Now, the Bible in Acts 17:28, and again, I'm not pretending to be an authority on this type or theology, but I have learned something in my years, and I'd like to share that. In Acts 17:28, it says, "For in him we live and move and have our being." In him. What's the him? Or her or it? Consciousness. In the same way that all of the characters within nighttime dreams lived and moved and had their being within the finite mind. And the finite mind is actually just an extension of infinite living mind. Think of it in deep sleep, there's no world. It's very peaceful. Mind is not in motion. It's not creating the world within nighttime dreams, whether they're occurring in the office or sailing over a great sea. So I'm going to turn to that quote that I mentioned from this book, I Am That, which is talks with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Now, he was a man, apparently, who was led to a guru at the age of 34, and by the age of 37, he had recognized to know again his true self. And then seekers from all over the world came to his humble home in Mumbai, I believe it was called Bombay at that time, to hold satsang with him, company of the wise or seekers seeking wisdom. And I'm going to end this video this evening with the great orb, with a quote from, it's section 88. It's about knowledge by the mind is not true mind. Here's the quote. Now, what I've gained, I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, is that I've gained tremendously by highlighting areas. It really draws, in whatever books I'm reading, it draws our attention and we contemplate the content at a deeper level. Here's the quote. To be a person is to be asleep. Now, of course, what he's not meaning that we're asleep on our couch or our bed all day. He was referring to the fact that the majority of us, and I was definitely one of them, are going about our business thinking that we are the doer and thinking that all we are is the name, age, form, gender, race, all of this, and all of that apparent baggage that we carry on our shoulders. The marriages, the illness, or the health, or the successes oh, I'm the rah CEO of this company, or I'm the loser that started 3 businesses and they didn't make it. And this can become very wearying, as we know, when we live from that perspective long enough. And we can think, I've got to set it right. I've got to make this third marriage really work. Or I lost my successful company or my marriage, and that reflects very poorly on me. From Unity, we look at the apparent life of the character, mine, Art Russell, much more lightly. And we also know ourselves as consciousness, eternal. That may give you something to contemplate or not, and that's up to you. I'm not trying to pressure you into anything. I'm just trying to offer. If you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. More information is available through my blog articles at thinktwice.me. There's a link somewhere in this YouTube and on LinkedIn or Instagram, Substack. I'm just beginning there, doing my best to get the message out. X on Twitter. Again, I'm not trying to promote me. I'm doing my best to share this information. And also through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, which is available through Amazon. I guess I should go now and get rid of the golden orb. Bye for now. I hope to see you again soon.